Good morning. Hello. Let me see those eyeballs. You got a lot of poop in you, girl. Oh, you got teeth. Let me see. Let me see. Look at those. You got your teeth. I've gotten into a pretty good routine with the new little baby. Hungry? Look at all your spots. Every morning I go out and say hello, give Prim her breakfast, and then feed the other horses. Sparkler is second in line because she is right by all of the food. Morning, Tiny. Tiny and Ivar show up very shortly after that. Where is he? Hello. So smart. After distributing all of the breakfast meals, it's time for these two to get turned out. Smile. Prim. Smile. Hello, Prim. Are you going away from this baby? Feel better? Good girl. Let me see your face. Let me see that little face of yours. This little guy has been growing up at a pretty swift pace. Be careful.
He still has some pretty serious bursts of energy in the morning. Recently, I started to see both sets of his incisors pushing through, so he's trying harder to eat hay. Yesterday, we did get rain on and off all day long, so he only got about an hour of turnout in between all of the storms. I had to wait a little bit extra this morning just to make sure the ground was dried up enough for him. While it's good for him to figure out his legs, I don't want him slipping and sliding around in the mud. Ivar has also very recently gotten pretty interested in this tiny horse. For some reason, Prim doesn't seem to mind Ivar as much as she does Huckleberry. It was a little bit of a struggle to get her to eat all of her hard feed after I switched her over, but now she's consuming 4 meals of 3 pounds each of the growth feed.
Hello. What are you up to? Watch out.
With Ivar ignoring all of his ranching duties to play with the new baby, Tiny has become extra sassy. I've also noticed that Huckleberry has caught the attention of the neighbor dog. I believe she's still a puppy, and I can't blame her for trying to come over and get Huckleberry to play with her. This morning, Ivar about gave me a heart attack. I was really sure that this little baby was going to stomp on him, but they were very cute together. I would not be surprised if Ivar sneaks into the stall to lay down and take a nap. I've been waiting for this little dude to go through an awkward stage, but every day he just gets better and better looking.
Slow down, little one.
He's getting more control of those long little legs, and he is definitely bulking up every single day. Every once in a while, he still looks a little bit contracted, but I think as long as he continues to get enough turnout, he should be fine. It's been a little bit more difficult to get chores done around here, but I've got to take a break from playing with the baby at least a few times a day. Recently, I moved some of the potted apple trees I bought into the ground. I also double-checked to make sure all of the baby birds were out of this tree trunk, but they have definitely vacated their nest. I've been planning out how big I want my garden to be, and I think it's going to be 90 by 45 feet. It's going to be inside of our yard and run parallel with that fence. The new young apple trees are going to be on the inside, and I should have plenty of room for all of my vegetables. After taking a break from the herd, Stewie and Little Gus are back with Big Gus, Studman, and Pete. Goose and Whiplash are in their own little dry lot, and it seems to be much more peaceful that way. There have not been any escapees in quite some time.
Pretty clean, little buddy.
It's kind of cool to hear Ziggy, the new baby, and Nigel talk back and forth throughout the day.
Hey, little buddy. Hello. How's your breakfast?
Over the last week or so, this guy has really been wanting to interact more with me.
You're always smiling. I wonder where he gets it from.
Anytime Prim is ready for her next meal, she gives me a little smile, and this little dude is always cheesing now too. I'm really glad that this guy had a bout of diarrhea for maybe 12 hours. He actually let me clean up his little butt quite frequently and put some cream on it. Foals this age will start eating their mama's poop to help get the correct bacteria in their hind gut.
No funny business. See them teethers. They are sharp little things.
The proper bacteria is really important, especially when these little foals start eating grass and hay.
So silly.
There is a little bit of a debate to what exactly causes foal diarrhea. A lot of people think it is from foal heat from the mother, but it also happens to be the same exact time these little guys start eating poop. Prim has been in heat, and it was very hard to tell this time.
Butt scratched. I'll get your butt. Oop, sorry.
Either way, this guy seems to be strong and healthy, and I'll get his booty completely cleaned up here pretty soon. Some horses are born with their incisors. This guy was not. He was all gums. At this point in time, he should also have his baby premolars, so he can certainly start to chew on hay. With how quickly he's been growing, though, he definitely still needs to consume a significant amount of milk. Prim will be providing the majority of food for this little dude for around 3 to 4 months. At that point in time, I'm going to have to start creep feeding this baby so he gets the amount of nutrition that he needs for his growing body. Before I get too distracted today, I am going to turn Sparkler out in the arena for the first time.
Sparkler! Wanna go to left, little one? Hold on.
If you guys have not heard yet, I did get her blood work back from the lab, and she is not pregnant. I had my suspicions, but I am really relieved to know that she is just getting plump. In preparation for the auction, I had been fitting her for sale. That could have something to do with why she gained so much weight. Mustangs in general are fairly easy keepers just because they survive on really meager portions out in the wild. It's been quite a while since I've shown you guys all of the things that have been happening with this girl's coat, and she is really starting to lighten up.
Where are you going?
I really haven't been doing too much with this girl since I've been distracted with the new baby. She does have a really solid foundation on her, so it's not a big deal for me to halter her up and take her up to the arena. She's been going a little stir crazy, so this should give her a good opportunity to run around and stretch her legs. After making our way across the abandoned prairie dog town and the site of all of those discarded tires, we finally made it up to the arena.
Come on.
I was hesitant to turn Sparkler out on grass because I'm not 100% sure if there is fescue up here or not. I'm pretty sure there's not, but I didn't want to risk it just in case she was in foal. One of the really big tasks I still have to tackle is taking care of some of the prairie dog holes around here. We had some people from the state stop by and we had a chat about the weeds and a few of the invasive plants that are on the property. I've been pulling tons of toxic weeds, so I have it pretty well under control now. There is a Russian olive tree right on the outside of this pen that I will be taking down. There are some really huge aspen trees that I'm leaving up, and then there's one cottonwood tree over here that's pretty big. We had thought about putting a barn on this pad, but I do think I'm just going to leave it an arena. I'll maybe put some training stalls up here right where this pen is. Those are pretty handy to have when you have young horses that need to get worked every single day, and it's just easier than bringing them in from the pasture. One thing that is still really surprising to me is how calm Sparkler is when there are no other horses around. This is really odd for a Mustang. It's also pretty odd for a domestic horse as well. This girl is super chill and she's getting even more so the more I handle her. The last couple of weeks she's just been a horse hanging out in her pen, and I've taken her on walks just to get her out. But as you can see by how round she is, that is going to have to change pretty soon. When I picked up my last load of hay, I did get a bale of grass hay for her. The alfalfa is much tastier, so the grass should slow her down a little bit and get her to eat less calories overall. With the significant increase in the price of fuel, there are a few things I had planned on doing that have kind of gotten pushed back. I found what I think is going to be a good sand for the arena, but hauling is going to be so much more expensive right now. We've waited a really long time to buy a place like this, and I don't want to throw money away unnecessarily. We've been getting quotes for a few different projects, and with the price increase, a few of them are just going to be unrealistic for us to do right now. We spent a lot of money to get this place bought, so our budget is pretty tight. I'm really glad we signed a contract and paid a deposit for our well, because I would imagine that that is going to be going up as well. Since I do have a pretty good idea of where the well is going to be drilled when it's our turn, I've been thinking more about the layout of the permanent horse dry lots. I've been keeping a really close eye on this old prairie dog town just to see if there's anything left out here or if the burrowing owls are using their holes. After removing all those tires last week, I'm starting to envision what it's going to look like back here with the horses moved. Every week my plan changes just a little bit, but I do feel like I am creeping forward. With all the tires removed this week, I decided to try and move some of the boulders that were around this area. Some of them are definitely way too big for me to move with the little tractor, but some I can wiggle loose and get out of the way. I was going to use some of these boulders for different things around the property, but for now I'm just going to roll them over to the edge of the arena. After I got a system down, I was able to move about a dozen of them. Some that I thought were pretty small ended up being much larger. It was really nice to see Sparkler finally stretching her legs when I was moving the boulders around, because she could definitely use the exercise. After removing all of the boulders that I could easily wiggle out, I noticed that there were a few old fence posts that had been cut off. These things are kind of annoying, but they definitely have to go before the horses are out here. The whole time I was working back here, Tiny was keeping a very close eye on me. I typically can't get anything done around here without her supervision.
What's up, girl?
Typically, when I'm feeling overwhelmed with all of the things I need to get done around here, I just sit on the little tractor for a few hours and get to work. I don't know if you can actually tell a difference, but I did remove quite a few giant boulders. Some of the rocks that looked really small, I wasn't even able to budge with the tractor, so they could be gigantic. A few rocks here and there are not going to hurt the horses at all, but piles and piles of them up in the turnout is not good, so I need to do my best to get rid of some of them at least.
Little mare. Come on, Sparkler. Good girl. Ready for dinner?
It is pretty cool to see the change in Sparkler over the last month or so. After I decided to buy her and adopt her so I could train her longer, she has definitely started to come out of her shell, even if I haven't done too much with her. So she's not standing completely bored out of her gourd. I have been doing a few little things with her every session. I did a lot of baby training with her just in case she was in foal. Even though she won't use any of those skills right away, it was good for me to get my hands all over her. She was a little bit twitchy and she's certainly calmed down. She just turned 2 a few days ago, so I don't have any plans on riding her anytime soon. Mentally, she is definitely mature enough to start riding, but physically she needs to grow up for at least another year in my opinion. Even though I won't be riding her, there are still tons of things we could work on. One of the things I've been working with her on recently is her turnarounds. If she's going to be a little Western show pony, she's going to have to learn this. Typically, when I get a horse in that is Sparkler's age, I rehome them as soon as they have the basic handling under their belts. With Sparkler staying, it gives me a pretty unique opportunity to do a few things that normally I don't get to practice. By the time I'm ready to swing a leg over this little girl, she will probably be pretty darn broke. Her haltering troubles are pretty much non-existent these days. Even with limited handling, every tiny session I do improves her understanding. I did a bunch of little tours around the ranch here and there, and by dinner time I was pretty exhausted. I still do like to spend a big chunk of time with the new little guy. With him growing so quickly, it's going to be important that I at least start his halter training soon.
Just doing whatever he wants.
Prim has started to reprimand him a little bit, but not too terribly much. There are a lot of different ways that you can handle foals, and I'm going to have a more hands-off approach with this guy. He is so smart that he's figuring out a lot of things on his own.
Ivar, who are you meowing at? Wanna come in?
Ivar gets a little bit jealous that I'm spending so much time with his baby horse. In the evenings while Prim is eating another one of her meals is when I like to just sit with this guy. If he wants to come over and interact with me, then that is great. The last week he has been getting a little bit too aggressive, so I've had to reprimand him by just pushing him away or leaving his stall. He has figured it out pretty quick that if he does something that is a little bit too aggressive, then we're not going to be able to hang out together.
Gotta be nice.
At first, he got pretty upset when I would leave his pen because he does like hanging out with me. The last couple of days, something has really clicked in his little horse brain, and he's figured out how to control his urge to nibble on me much better.
Oh, there. Good boy.
He still does quite a bit of investigating with those little lips, but if he chomps me, that is when our playtime ends. Without any human hands to scratch him, he does tend to get a little bit on the itchy side. There was a point in time where he would get very stompy with his front feet and try and strike me, but he hasn't done that in quite a while. These days, he is learning to regulate all of his excitement around humans in order to get the perfect amount of scratches. With his teeth coming in over the last couple of days, I've been a little bit lenient on the teething. He's got a jolly ball, but I might have to find him another thing to teeth on.
That's a good boy. Ooh. Ugh. Where did that come from?
As far as staying healthy goes, this guy has met all of his important milestones. His umbilical stump is dried up and I really don't have to treat it anymore. The farther they get away from birth, the safer it is for these little horses. I'm really excited that this little guy had diarrhea for a very short amount of time. He felt a little bit pitiful for a day, but he has definitely bounced right back. In addition to growing a pretty impressive amount of muscle over the last couple of days, I've also noticed that his eye color is changing. When he was born, they were a really light blue-gray color, and they seem to be darkening around the edges. Since he is cruising right along with all of his milestones, I should be able to leave him for big chunks of time during the day. Something on my list that I want to get done is pull some hair and send them off for genetic testing. I'm fairly certain he is the exact same color as Prim, but it'll be interesting to see the genetic breakdown. He also has the potential for a gene mutation that I really do need to be aware of. I've ridden and trained lots of horses with this mutation in the past. People get very excited about this new mutation, but in reality, a horse that is a carrier of one copy, only a 6% increased chance over the normal population of developing any kind of symptoms. It probably warrants its own video that I'll do in the future when I get his test results back. But I am really not worried about it with this little guy, but it is certainly worth investigating. One of the hardest things I've had to tackle with this new little horse is trying to pick out the perfect name. I've had so many good suggestions, but I really haven't felt like anything has really stuck. I've tried a few options, and after a while they just did not suit him. At this point in time, I have a few really strong contenders and I'm still trying to decide. The few names that I have been considering, I have not seen them in the comments yet. You guys are more than welcome to send your suggestions my way because I have seen some really good ones. Hopefully I'll have a name for this cute little bugger pretty soon.
Hey, no biting. No biting.
Last week, I was worried that this little dude would turn into a bad-tempered little tyrant, but with a few tiny corrections to some lingering bad behavior, it looks like he is turning into a real snuggle bug. Thank you guys so much for watching and stay tuned for the next video.